buddy.
Hey, happy Halloween.
That was my go, I guess. Yes, happy Halloween, everyone.
Mhm.
We're coming in fashionably late, like most of the seasons of The Simpsons with their Halloween episodes. Although, did you notice it was like a month early this year? That was weird.
Yeah, it's been a while since I kept up with Simpsons. I think I saw King of the Hill before that, but you'd be the expert there.
Since oh yeah, well yeah, I remember when they were not only did they when they started, but when they were on they were skits on the Tracy Ullman show, which I'm sure most people are like, who, what? Yeah, you gotta get a Wikipedia that one. Yeah. But yeah, all right. So there we go. As you can tell, we have no notes. Although I think Zealous has some notes for tonight. I told him to stop that.
Oh, a
Uh,
child scribbling on a notebook.
no, can't do it. Can't do it. Throwaway show number two with little noise effects and everything. Um, let me fix that real quick. But yeah, we we both have had a ridiculous week. I was busy every day this week, almost with events, including tonight for the place I work at, and Zealous he had to dig all kinds of graves for all the bodies that we didn't have from tonight. But I am not so far off that I cannot remember what I do every week. Don't forget to go to ArmoredCoreLegacy.com, the most active forums for Armored Core. Become a member, register. All kinds of things going on. There's all kinds of information about Verdict Day on there, and you get plenty of retro fans complaining that we spend too much time talking about Verdict Day. Also, don't forget to send us emails at RavensVoiceACL at gmail.com. That's RavensVoiceACL at gmail.com. And, there's a couple things that we want to touch on tonight.
Mhm.
But besides that, like I said, we're noteless. Throwaway show number two. We're gonna talk for a little bit. When Zealous and I started this project, one of the things was we always put out a show. And if you ever look at the statistics for this, you will find that podcasts the week they skip is the week that their listeners start to plummet. Not to mention, we're fairly niche as it is. We don't have a lot. We don't
Yeah.
have a whole lot of listeners, so we don't want to lose any of you. So, yeah. So no, we won't miss the show. Even if we put in, a throwaway show like this, you'll always get something from us. There'll always be something to listen to every week.
But it's what we love. It's what we're having fun doing, and whether it's AC or what was it? We had a demand for Grand Theft Auto 5, I think, over at ACU. Yeah, whatever it is, we'll talk about it.
Wait, did we really?
Yeah, I'm not kidding. Who was it? Rare Stones and a number of other people. But I haven't played it, so
I haven't either. I haven't played the San Andreas, which I loved, but
yeah.
I just don't. I'm a grown ass man. I don't. Have, I don't have time. I don't have time for all of these games. No, seriously, and not to say that you know people do or don't have time for these games. I just don't have time to play video games like I used to. So actually, right now, when I play a video game, it's Armored Core, and that's
Mhm.
pretty much what I do. And I love it. I do have a few others that I throw in there every once in a while, but I actually made sure that I finished a couple games before Verdict Day came out to make room for all the time I'd be spending with it.
Because you knew what was going to be stuck in your PS3.
Yep. Now I need you to buy me some time while I check our email for about 30 seconds because we did not do that before the show.
Which is no problem, because since we're talking about a PS3 issue anyway, I can go into how my PS3 is borked, or at least part of it. Any of you who have old school PS3s, I don't know if you purchased the early 60 gig edition from first gen, it's fully backwards compatible and whatnot. Mine's had a great track record. I got it obviously first gen when it came out and whatnot. It's plenty of years of service, never a grumble out of it, but you know what it sounds like, especially if you own a PC when your fan sounds like it's about to die. I've heard the same type of moan from my PS3 for a while now, and didn't cause too many issues initially, but there's things that are actually interfering with gameplay, at this point, and I know part of it has to do with the heatsink and whatnot. And I had some just some definite like sound and video cutout issues, so I'm getting that squared away, and there's definitely going to be some few things I'm going to be missing with PS3 gaming for a little bit. I'm getting that corrected ASAP, and looking to get that back on. But I want to retire my veteran into a nice, comfy retirement home. It'll be a wonderful antique because, we're losing that backwards compatibility even more going into the PS4 generation here. You'll have select titles you can get online. and whatnot. But you can't just pop a PS3, disc in, and it's crazy too. Even though we're talking about Blu-ray architecture running off. So, anyway, I want to preserve the life I have with it still. Maybe I can just get the fans and whatnot replaced at some point. It's not completely dead yet, but definitely don't want to continue for a little bit. So I'm gonna rest it.
So I missed that because I was reading this email that we got. Did you say that are you going to be getting a different one to use for a while, or
Yeah, no, just that I'm kicking on through the issue. We spoke a little bit about it too, and I'm basically gonna be on it, ASAP to get that unit out. I mean, I know Slims are only like 170 now, but I have another plan for that. I'm gonna work on and see if I can get that swap quicker. So we'll see, but no problem. Things happen.
so I do have an email here.
Yeah.
It does say that we are the winner of $338 million.
Oh
Uh,
snap.
yeah, this looks legit. I mean, it's from Trust Groupage 6 at Netscape.net. Um, yeah,
I
we
mean,
do. We're rich. I mean, this is real. This is legit. So this is now the last episode of the Ravens Voice because I'm rich, bitch, and yeah, that's it. All right, guys, see you later. All right, no.
uh,
So let's talk about War for November.
yeah.
By the time you guys are listening to this, that will have started. So War for November actually just starts in a few hours for us as we're recording this on Halloween.
Mhm.
Now, if you don't know what this is yet, this is going to be a month-long event in Verdict Day on the PS3. Um, the international region, not JP region. Basically how this works is you register your team over at ArmoredCoreLegacy.com over in the forums. There is a post for War from November in the tournament and event section. This does go for the entire month, and how this works is you register your team, and if you merc anyone, you merc one of our specific mercenaries into your team, and you win with them in your team,
Mhm.
then your team gets a point. But on the other hand, if going through world mode, if you end up fighting one of us and you win, then you get a point that way too. So a couple different ways to win. There are several mercenaries. I'm really interested to see how this turns out. You can win some PlayStation Store cards. You can
Mhm.
also win. You can chance to win some official AC model kits. So pretty cool. Really interested to see how this plays out as far as time.
Yeah.
I really, I'm intrigued on how that's going to work because, I mean, you're really going to find out like who's playing when, I think, to an extent, and who's not getting a fair shake, maybe because maybe there's ACL mercs that aren't on during that time. There's only so much we can do with this. I mean, I'm going to try to make it an issue to be on for that and other reasons because I haven't gotten a lot of play in this last week. So, um, but yeah, I mean, this is cool. Nothing's been done like this before. So we're
Yeah.
we're in we're in untapped area here. I think it's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, and again, the fun thing about it, we know, in the end, is where you unlock parts and you finish the story. But let's face it, you want to test your AC against others, and that's why we have an integrated online mode and a whole team suite. These events have always been done in forms of tourneys, whether you have a battle royale or you have 1v1s, double, single elimination. It's the first to take advantage of world mode, and it's a feature we have. It's something that's built in, um, and this is just another dynamic way to run it. And we talked a bit about it last week too. Get PSN cards for DLC that you're interested in, or the mini model kits. I know Tierson will be skipping on White Glint. Maybe some of you others will want that one, but it looks fun. It looks fun. I think it'll be interesting to participate in.
I would pick, if I could, and I can't participate in this outside of my position as a mercenary. So
Hmm.
I'm one of the people that people will get points from having in their team. So obviously I can't win anything. If I could, I think I'd maybe pick a combination. Maybe some of the cards get some more DLC content, but I would definitely pick the white glint model to put it together and then to destroy it in horrible, horrible ways because
Oh
it
man.
I mean, I wouldn't spend any money on that, but an opportunity to get a white glint model for free. Um, and then to obliterate it.
Don't need to
That
give you ideas. But man, so War for November, it's running all through, and again, you can register up to pretty late. So the registration, the links will be there. I'll post that again in the description for those of you that are curious if you want to see any details. Um, but yeah, we're about to kick off with it. But if you're a little late, you're coming in the 10th, the 12th, that's still okay. You can still get in this event. So stay peeled. Look out for which teams have registered, who are the mercs to look out for, and have a blast. Get out there. So with that in mind, there's another tournament that we have not talked about yet that we hinted at last week and hinted to the degree of that it would be important. Probably one of
yeah.
the most important AC tournaments that you've played in.
I announced a little while back that I was going to be coming out of retirement and running an event first quarter of next year. But actually, in the process of coming up with ideas and things that we can do for the community and things that we can do with the community, um, I came up with an idea, and I'm gonna be hosting a tournament, single. It'd be one player, 1v1, single elimination tournament. It will be December 7th. The difference with this and why we say that this will probably be one of the most important events that you will be a part of with our record is because it will be for charity.
Yep.
There will be a small donation to enter into the event. We are shooting for at least 32 people. I'm confident that we will get a lot more. Yes, it'll be $10 to $10 donation to enter. We'll do it December 7th. The donations to this we plan to give to Child's Play, and if you don't know what that is a long running donation now. It's long running charity. It's been going on for 10 years now. I was just looking into this the other day. It was one of my favorite charities back in the day. But yeah, 10 years now it's been going on. And I think altogether, like last year, they got about $5 million.
Great stuff.
Yeah, altogether, I think it's been like 12 million. It's been ridiculous. What they do is Child's Play. They donate toys and video games, mainly video games, to children that are in hospitals, children that are recovering from illness. Who could, around the holidays could use a bit of a pick me up, maybe some time away from the harshness of what they have to deal with. So, I thought, how cool would it be to actually hold an event where we could beat the crap out of each other in our rapport, and the benefit to this are children who could use a video game or two, or use an escape from what they have to deal with. And I spoke with somebody from Namco this week, and I placed a challenge to them to match whatever this event brings in. So how many of you donate, Namco has been challenged to match that number, and they have not gotten back to me yet if they're going to do that. But obviously, the more of us who participate, the more of us who rattle the cage and tell them that we want Namco to match this. Obviously, the closer that it would be to them doing it.
Right. The cool thing about this, and you normally see this through stream channels. Any of you that played Diablo 3, Athene or Athene, however I'm pronouncing that, and a few other noted players, have their stream running and they donate to charities. This is something that I personally haven't seen done in the AC community. We've had plenty of tournaments, and back when we had LAN seasons, um, the reason that you put in for a pot, right? Like when you came, like your 15 $20 entry fee, whatever it was usually to cover help cover prizes, go towards a prize pool, a pot of cash, and then food if it was there. Some people provided that, others didn't, and then also partially to the room cost. A lot of these we rented out like hotel conference rooms or venues like that, and that was where you legitimize. Okay, why do I have to pay for this event? Now, a lot of people are asking today for online, obviously, because it's free. Well, why should I pay for an AC event? I can just sit here and just get online. There's no point in me giving you any cash or, trusting, someone else to handle this pool. Well, by all means, here's a reason and a chance to, put your skills to something that will go towards a very positive cause. And, it's not a cash pot that a bunch of players are getting at or anything. But no, I think it's fitting with the season. It fits with the holidays, and it's something unique. So I encourage you guys. There will be details on this event upcoming. We'll keep you posted on that. Just stay tuned to the relevant channels. You'll likely hear about this on ACL first, and there will be threads posted as things come up. But I think it's going to be a blast.
This is officially being put together and held. I mean, I was the one that pitched the idea to ACL, but this is officially being run.
Hmm.
It is an ACL and a Ravens Voice project. Zealous and I will be putting most of our efforts into that, which is also the first time that you and I have been able to hold an event together. I mean, we were the Midwest LAN event coordinators
Hmm.
back in the day, but we never really worked on one. So we're going to be working on this together. We're going to be the ones doing the upkeep. Sometime this weekend, you will see the post over on in the forums and ACL. A website will be showing up very shortly after that. Details on how to donate, PayPal will be, I'm sure, the bulk of it.
Yep.
Really, guys, I mean, and it looks like it's going to be about the first tournament for Verdict Day as well. So, I mean, big reason to get in for that. But for $10, come and fight the good fight in Armored Core, fight with your ACs, but fight the good fight by helping out a bunch of kids. This is something that I always wanted to do. Back in the day, I was waiting for online play to do online tournaments. This was always something I wanted to put together. I disappeared before we ever got that because it took them so long to get us the online play. So, I think a lot of people, you're coming into this with positive mindset, positive reasons. I think it'll be a great fun event. So, like I said, details on that coming soon.
For sure, for sure. And hopefully, it could very well. I don't know if it'll be the start of a trend or maybe an annual style event we have. But if anything, I hope players out there take a note of it. We've hit on this a lot during various podcast sessions, but the movements in our community obviously begin with the community, and that doesn't always have to be from said figure or someone only specifically designated to run events. If you have inspiration for something, if you see something that's not being tapped, with AC that we might be able to do, post up, talk about that kind of stuff. We want that, and we want those unique ideas and unique events coming up. So, if you guys get inspired, or if you find something else that you think would work really well, in the future, hey, post up. But definitely check this point here as a starting ground for some of it.
Yeah, I do hear a lot of an idea that people have, and that's to put together a better podcast. And it, in that respect, screw you.
Another thing we've touched on, what's so interesting is the notion of what a podcast and audio show means to Armored Core. The biggest request that we had coming in at the start was to have video, to change things to a video format, to have things in some kind of stream format, to turn into a video commentary format. Okay, that's all well and good. I understand. We have streamers that do things like that, but again, it breaks the format. And this is really the first push. Something like this has started to form, and you guys got ideas for that. You want to do an audio show, you got a stream channel to run, whatever you want to launch it and push that. Hey, by all means, we're for you. We're behind you in that. I think you could rock. A lot of you got some great experience, some great commentary, and things you could offer the community, not just some of the more experienced players. There's just tons out there to do with it. So
I would love it if somebody else put together a podcast that would.
yeah.
I mean, that wouldn't stop us from doing ours, and
Mhm.
we'd probably continue to do ours as crappy as we do. So it's no, but I would love it. I would love to be able to sit down and because when I'm building ACs, when I'm playing Armored Core, and I know if it's going to be basically if it's going to be a building session
Mhm.
or if it's going to be a free battle session. If it's a building session, I love listening to podcasts. I love
Definitely.
listening to some news, maybe some music, but most of the time I love to hear. I love to listen to things like this, and this is actually how the idea originated in my brain. Was God, I would love to listen to a show based on Armored Core while I'm playing this game. And
Mhm.
here you are. So I would absolutely love it. Uh, yeah,
Yeah.
go put one together. Two of you, three of you, whatever. Go do it. I want to listen to a podcast.
And
Because I can't listen to myself. I mean, I yes, I listen every once in a while, but I mean, I can't. I know what I'm gonna say. I know what's gonna happen. Zealous is gonna say something smart. Zealous is gonna bring up a lot of logic, and I'm gonna say something stupid and silly. And that's I already know this.
oh
Not
my
only do
goodness.
exactly what I'm going to say. Why? Because I recorded it, so I can't listen to it. Somebody go put on a show or something.
You
I
know,
don't know.
one thing that might help. Okay, like, I don't know if some of the rest of you, check out these kind of outlets. I'm sure AC isn't the only game that you play, although it should be. No, hey, let's face it. You guys are probably into plenty of other things. Your shooters, whether it's RTSs, some StarCraft fans. There's probably some League people running around too. Whatever you play. I'm not sure if many of you have checked into the podcast format before. Now, you can find a lot of these on iTunes. Okay, I think if you're looking just for ideas, okay, or just some inspiration about this, one thing I always hear about is, oh, well, if we start this, how does this form? What do you really talk about? How do you do? What's the format? Uh, I think a good place to start is just check out what's there. Check out how some of the other gaming outlets, present these things. Those of you who are in RPGs or maybe MMOs, I think an example that immediately comes to mind: Final Fantasy 14, Realm Reborn. This has had recent launch via Square, but there's a number of podcasts out for that. And, you can go to iTunes and find these, not just for FF14, but for a lot of other games. And this is free. It doesn't cost you a thing. I mean, you can literally go on and subscribe and just check these things out if you want to just check them out every week or monthly or when they release, or if you want to just download from the backlog. They're there. So that's the thing about this stuff. It doesn't just materialize. Most of this is out there. Like if you're just looking for ideas about a format, and you can go check it out, you can kind of listen to it, how things run, how the format works. Heck, teach us a thing or three about it. This was again just a project we wanted to do for Armored Core and for the community, and it was something that we did not have before, and it has the potential to grow.
I
So,
wanted I wanted to be a smart ass and have the Armored Core community listen to it. That was my goal.
well, if you want to bust yourself out like that, I mean, I know you had this draconian idea to
Well,
absorb
I've
the
been outed
community.
already. Man. I've been outed. People know I don't know anything. I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Oh man.
I do this once a week because I want to be a smart ass.
But but yeah, people, the stuff's out there, and most of you will probably just use iTunes or something like that for your playlist. But go when you got time, sometime go just check out the store section, the iTunes store, and just type in your favorite game. I don't even know everything that's out there.
God, people making Final Fantasy 14. Really, how many podcasts are out there for that game?
FF14, um, there's at least six. At least there's probably a couple more than that, a few more, but I know at least six major ones I've saw. A lot of them, well, I think some of them at least started with the launch, and eh, Realm Reborn. This is the second launch, for FF14. I think you had a lot of people from the previous game, the older era, and that they probably had to carry over. I don't know the full history behind that. You guys want to fill me in on some of it, you might, but I think there's a mix. So
They never do. We never got a single recipe for cookies last week.
we didn't. What's the deal, people? I mean, come on. No macadamia notes, no chocolate chip, no peanut butter. I mean, yeah. If you missed the end of last week's show, we were asking what's your favorite cookie. I mean,
I said I wanted recipes. I think they thought I wasn't serious.
favorite cookie and recipes, for those. But you know,
I would also seriously question if a single AC fan even knows how to make a cookie.
oh, there's a throwdown.
Besides besides me, I would maybe say the AC fans are very diverse, but I would think that maybe one thing that is similar is that a lot of them don't cook or bake. It
Well,
would be like, why would I bake this? I can just buy it at the store and spend some more time playing Armored Core.
I wonder, do we have any culinarians in our ranks? They.
Well, you've got a knife right next to you.
Yeah, I do. I do.
Make some noises so they know that we're not lying.
I'm not gonna cut. Not gonna cut anybody. I promise.
There you are, folks. Riveting radio right there. Just don't listen to this butter knife.
But no, man. I mean, as far as recipes and stuff, I kind of wonder how many people are like Hardee's guys. Like, just you do fast food, or do you actually cook stuff? I'm not the best at it at all. I try and be pretty healthy about that kind of thing, and learn recipes, make what I want. I'm working on one right now for Parmesan crusted lamb shanks, and I try to do one recipe a year at least to have. I go visit friends once a year, and we have a kind of semi cook off, and it's nice to have something ready for that. So
I cook like five things. And I rotate them.
you never get sick of any of them?
No, no, dude, you know me. I have the most finicky taste buds. I am such a picky eater. There's like maybe a few dozen things on this planet that I'll eat.
Oh man. I mean, well, let me ask: is one of the recipes a peanut butter sandwich?
Yes, but I've
Okay.
talked about peanut butter sandwiches on the forum, so that's not
All
that's
right.
not.
All right. So if you guys got something to add, you never know. You know, you never know where you're going to get a decent recipe. I know some really good ones I've actually gotten off just Ventrilo, like during my days like TeamSpeak or playing other games and like that, and you had to group up with the guild. You would be surprised how many people share, and I got a number of really solid recipes. I got one for a chili. I haven't made it yet, but it's awesome. Looks awesome, at least. I got the list for it, and then a what was it? A caramel pound cake from scratch. I kind of suck at like just the cake baking part. I used to be a baker. I baked bread before. That was my very first job. I can do that, but the cakes, nah, I can't touch that yet. So,
Yeah, I'm in my infancy yet. I'm in brownies.
oh man, that's another one too. If well, okay, if people don't want to write about cookies, maybe you got a favorite cake. Send that in. You got a recipe. You got to know what's your favorite cake. I actually want to know. I'm a red velvet nut. I got to have that every Christmas and Thanksgiving. It's kind of a tradition.
Did I still hear that knife?
Yeah, I got them. You know, I, hey,
He's getting hungry talking about cake. He's got the knife. Ready for the cake. This is gonna be the best show ever. Um,
it's just a totally off the cuff Happy Halloween. Look, I don't know how many of you are into um, cosplaying for Halloween. Some of you who
oh.
go.
Is it cosplaying if it's
Yes,
Halloween?
it is. Yes, it is. I'll make it. We'll
No.
make a case for that. We'll make a case for that.
We're fighting about this right now. Here you go. Point counterpoint. Cosplay on Halloween? Okay, how do you cosplay on Halloween? On the day where it is accepted that that if you dress up and you get in a costume, is the one day where it's acceptable to be someone else. How is that cosplay? When that's what cosplay is.
And I say to that, how should society dictate the bounds of that? I guarantee you have your hardcore cosplayers out there that will call it cosplay regardless. Doesn't matter if it's Halloween, doesn't matter if it's Thanksgiving or Christmas, but specifically Halloween. This is the time everybody dresses, but they will still call it
This is
cosplay.
getting stupid. There should be some rules here. Like for example, if you have somebody who dresses up like Santa for Christmas, that's not cosplay,
That's just Santa Claus. It's different. But
is it?
watch someone make the case for your cosplaying Santa Claus. Watch.
That's my point. You shouldn't. You shouldn't because it's a holiday. Just like here for Halloween, you don't cosplay on Halloween. Everybody dresses up on Halloween. That's not cosplay.
What I want to know is if we have any people in our community who are hardcore into like, if you already do cosplay other times of the year anyway, or do you just go extra nuts for Halloween, or do you just leave it at a Halloween party or two, hang out, friends, fam, girlfriend, boyfriend, whoever else?
I hosted a costume contest earlier tonight, a few hours ago. Nobody referred to it as cosplay.
Well, no one there. Did you have any hardcore cosplay fans? I mean,
We did have a guy dressed up as I can't remember the name. I'm not a big fan. I mean, the games look really cool. I'm not a big fan, but he dressed up as the guy from Assassin's Creed.
oh, that's another one I'm bad at names, but I'm gonna ballpark this. I think I got it. Altair.
I think that was it. He
Yeah.
told me. I'm like, what? He spelled it out for me. But aren't there different characters and like aren't there some different main characters in those games?
Yeah,
But
the Assassin's Creed series has had a number of variations at this point, and you do take control of a different main. Um, it's kind of the best way to describe Assassin's Creed. It seems is a giant memory dive. And I think the reason why you had like a character change in some of the later ones was there was a different character. You were investigating or whatnot. I don't know. Some of you guys, fill me in if you played more of those games. I mean, I've kind of backseat played some of those and gone through them, but yeah, just from what I saw, there are different characters across the games you play as.
no, the winner was he was dressed up as one of the Blues Brothers, so it was really nice looking.
Oh, that's styling. That's
Okay, so now isn't one of the rules for cosplaying that it has to be like a comic book or cartoon or like a video game character, or can it be is cosplay being something that was out of a real like a real life movie, like the Blues Brothers or something like that?
it. Very well could be. I really think cosplay cracks those kind of boundaries.
Okay,
I mean,
I don't.
I thought it was only anime stuff at first, but no, it's way more.
I know I have been seeing a couple things, but I mean, I don't think that we would often, if at all, ever see cosplay for something from a 1970s movie. So
No, I mean, people barely remember, Blues Brothers and whatnot. That's a stylish throwback. Um, I was gonna ask you about the Altair if his costume was awesome because there's a lot of different, like leather satchels and all kinds of like crazy details you can do with that one. But
he didn't get that far into it.
okay,
That's
okay,
actually why he didn't win. If he would have gone heavy detail and actually had a piece of leather in that suit, then he probably would have won. But it was kind of generic. So
okay, okay.
the time and effort that was put into the Blues Brothers costume is why it didn't win.
And the funny part is, you just hit it square in the head. It's the time and effort that goes into things. Even if you're not familiar with the series, I'd argue you see something that that has taken some genuine patience and time to assemble. It's pretty impressive. You don't even have to know exactly what it's from, but you know, decent workmanship, you can tend to spot that a while off.
I don't
Besides,
think I ever will. Besides, if I ever cosplay, I mean, it would be like a Wookiee because I mean I'm already a giant, so I can pull it
you
off.
you would make a perfect Wookiee.
I already sound kind of like a Wookiee, so I think it would work out well.
All you do is find the suit. That might be in season. Something. Don't we have? Isn't there a new Star Wars? Something down the pike?
Oh, unfortunately, it's a ways away yet. We're looking at about probably a year and a half. It's
Okay.
supposed to be
Okay.
2015, so probably the summer, probably May. So yeah, we're looking at a good year and a half yet. But that's going to be awesome. I've been waiting 30 years, and I'm going to be waiting a couple more for a sequel to Return of the Jedi. I think we were talking about this the other night. Actually, I'm old enough that the first movie I ever went to when I was a kid was the original release of Return of the Jedi, and I remember that I remember that well. That was great. So yeah, can't wait for a sequel
See,
because
the cool thing about that, and you told me about this before, and I was kind of mind blown that someone else besides my folks got to see that and said, yeah, I remember that when it came out in theaters. Most of us can say that for the recent episodes that got released, but the originals, yeah, that had to be an event. I mean, I don't know. Would you equate it to like the Matrix when that was released, or is this like just the buzz in the air about it, or did it feel like something altogether different?
it altogether different and better, man.
Yeah.
Nothing has ever come close to what it was like. I mean, it's hard to explain the synergy of the Star Wars movies and the toys and everything. It was an '80s thing at the same time.
Right.
It's hard to explain it. I mean, it was a machine in movie and TV or TV, franchises with toys and all that. It just they've never, no one's ever been able to embody how Star Wars was with that. I mean, and as a kid, it was such an engrossing experience. I mean, it was just awesome. And my brother and I, we were huge into Star Wars. We had all the fucking toys. Not the F bomb on that because that matters because there was a lot of toys.
Okay.
I'll never forget with that when we got the AT-AT.
Hmm.
Uh, Dude, that thing was underneath the Christmas tree. It was the size of a dog. It was insane. We pulled
Wow.
up the house from underneath the tree, and it's just like, what? And then we got it out, and it came mostly together out of the box. It's like, this thing is massive. It was nuts. We didn't care that it was for both of us because it was so awesome and it was so big. And that was nuts. That was crazy.
Wow. That's
You
cool.
know,
You see, we're gonna have to call. I'm gonna have to call pickers on you at some point because I mean you're gonna have some antiques sitting around. Like now, I don't know a whole lot about hobby collecting for Star Wars stuff, but I know you have some memorabilia for like from like really major franchises or important releases that go for tons. Some of you
Mhm.
probably caught the what was it, Superman issue 0. You'll see those auctioned off every now and then. And it's crazy. People will pay exorbitant amounts for that kind of stuff. I mean, I would think Star Wars would have somewhat of a decent appreciation. Like especially you're talking about like the AT-AT and the I bet the Millennium Falcon. Even Boba Fett's ship if you had something like that. I don't know. I know some people run businesses with this kind of thing on eBay. they have like antique or like really old collectibles, and they run things by trying to sell. But I don't know. I mean, I would think you probably got some good value in all that stuff if you kept up with it.
Well, and one of the things when my grandma passed away, which is horrible, but she passed away several years ago with her battle from cancer. And what you have to do, obviously, when something like that happens, you have to take care of those things. You have to take care of the physical possessions and such. And when we were kids and we would be sick or something like that, she'd get us comic books and stuff. And so we had some really old, really good comics. I was a big fan of comic books in in the '90s boom.
Hmm.
It had a heavy influence on my artistic style. And so, part of that was, I have a fairly substantial comic book collection from that era. And, we're taking care of these things. We're taking care of our possessions. And I found these things. Unfortunately, some of them had been ruined, but, a lot of them had not. And so
Hmm.
we've got some pretty crazy ones in there. And, of course, it's not like, oh, I got these comics are mine. No, I mean, I let everybody know, hey, I found these. I'm taking care of them now. I know that there are some in there that are probably worth a lot of money.
That's cool. Yeah, I had an uncle that ended up tossing all that stuff away years ago. He had stacks of Marvel, DC, whatever you want to call it, and he probably lost a potential gold mine in some of that. But yeah, I mean, you got back issues, issue zero, or you got some stuff that's well preserved. Keep up with it. You never know. Um, Even breaking it down further, I know people that kept up with like '90s trading card games like Magic the Gathering. I know we got a couple players in the AC community here. Berserk
Oh, but
Dragon. Yeah, I mentioned Magic again.
Magic the Gathering.
Gathering. But
Throw my
MTG
cartridge, bitch.
MTG is pretty ridiculous. If you kept up with the beginning sets and you have some of those old cards, I mean they've appreciated in the many thousands. And if you played alpha or beta or any of those first sets and you think you got a collection sitting up in your attic somewhere, I recommend you check it out because you're probably sitting on some good potential there.
I've never got the card thing. Not even just Magic the Gathering or anything else. Like my oldest brother, he collected baseball cards and
Mhm.
football cards, and I never understood it. Just never got it.
I think it kind of goes beyond the MIB phenomenon. And I say MIB, I don't mean Men in Black. I mean Mint in Box. Um, this is usually a big term thrown around by people, who collect memorabilia or like, collectible like statues, like figures and stuff like that. That Mint in Box feel is like probably the best thing you can have for pricing. Something that's completely mint, preserved in its original packaging. Uh, the good thing about card gaming is, you can, if you have some of that old stuff, you can still sell stuff in boosters, but the single cards still go for tons, as long as you have the card itself in really solid condition and you've kept it well. Like it will sell if it appreciates well. Like it will sell, and I guess that's the cool part about it too. So you don't have to have an entire set, or you don't have to be carrying around a bucket. It could just be that one thing that you kept around, and there you go.
My brother tricked me when I was little, and he said, you should buy these cards for me. If you buy me the cards, I'll give you the gum that's inside. And I was a dumbass. I was a dumbass. So I fell for it. Like, oh, okay, I get the gum. All right. I had no real concept of money. I didn't know that I could probably get much better gum by just buying gum.
Oh man,
And
see,
that gum sucked.
see, it was all the more bitter. It was because who likes getting a dupe like that? Yeah, it probably tasted all the more bitter. Now, I didn't have a brother to do that to me. I didn't have an older or younger, or the same goes for a sister. I didn't have that same level of comp. I was lone on the aggro chart, and I still am.
Alone on the aggro chart. That means you don't have aggro. You have no aggro chart. Dude, I had two brothers. I was the youngest of three.
Mm,
My sister passed away very, very young. So
mm,
I would have been the youngest in that situation as well. So I was the youngest, and the middle, one of my brothers, the middle brother. Oh my god! I mean, you talk about aggro. He got aggro from everybody and everything, and oh man, we would fight all the time, and he'd fight with my brother all the time, and he was the most rebellious one, so he's fighting with the parents all the
oh
time.
wow.
It was really about attention and stuff. He was the middle sibling and all that. And my oldest brother and I, we were far enough apart to where we didn't really, obviously we knew each other very well. We were family, but we didn't do a lot in common.
Mm-hmm.
And the middle brother, him and I used to do stuff all the time. We were the ones that we played video games together. We played Star Wars. We were into Transformers and all that good stuff when we were growing up in
Mm-hmm.
the '80s. But yeah, every once in a while, he tried something out with the older brother, and he would do it wrong. And my oldest brother, he, he was an ass. He's an ass today. He's an asshole now. The asshole runs very strong in our family. We are a great line of genuine assholes. So but my oldest brother in particular is a very strong strain of asshole in that. Yeah, I'm going to see how many times I can say this word, guys. Just go with it. No,
Family
but so
heritage.
screwed up with him, and like he screwed up his stuff. Oh my God, you would get a beating, and my brother got a lot of beating, but he asked for a lot of them too.
And isn't that usually the case? Here's where family probably comes in handy, though. We've seen this in the AC community too. We had a father and son duo that we both know very well from the past. Mayhem 44 and Baker. And this is the coolest thing to see. No, it wasn't a brother and brother relationship or a brother and sister. It was father and son. But this is where family makes it fun. Especially if you get into the same franchise or series, or you're playing the same thing. You got a partner in crime, or at least I would think. You're going to have your disagreements. You probably won't see things the same, but you got someone near enough to you with the same interest. Now, I don't think I've seen a brotherly team in Armored Core yet, but from what we saw from the father son duo, it was great. They had a lot of harmony. They had synergy. Of course, they always partnered with each other for the team tournaments, and they would attend all the LAN events they could for the Midwest. And I hope they're doing well now. I haven't heard from them in many years, but they supported everything that we did. So
I think you're right. I don't think we have seen a brother team. You guys correct or if we're wrong, and I'd love to see it. My middle brother, like I was telling you about, he did play Armored Core when it first came out. He had Armored Core, he had Project Phantasma. He didn't get past that point because he always loved the tanks. He wanted to play the tanks, so he got constantly just destroyed. So because that's what it was. That was tanks sucked. I mean, they've had times when they've been great. Obviously, in AC5, I think it was the age of the tank. But in the original Armored Core, all tanks. What was the point? What are you doing? That was.
oh man,
Why would you? Have you seen Humans Plus?
have you
I
used
can
this?
I can do everything you're doing. Plus fly around. So yeah, it was a shame. But he loved the tanks, and he was a big fan of it. But yeah, he couldn't get past Project Phantasma.
Wow.
And just, yeah, so he stopped playing. But
Now, what we may have happening is maybe years down the road. Let's cross our fingers. AC is still around. You may have a new generation of player coming up at some point. Um,
I out of it.
yeah, for sure. You had Slamscape. I don't know if they're still together. I thought Slamscape and Heaven Flame did, and they were, at the time, Heaven Flame was one of the few, female AC players online that was regularly on Kai that you could catch. Really competitive. Fun person to play with. But them, and then you had I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong. Griffin, correct me if you're listening to this. I thought that you recently married, and I thought it was someone within the AC community too. Um, if that's the case, and if you choose to have children, please teach your child the way of Mecca. That's all.
This is not the only relationships around here. You forget that the relationship between Chang and Avalon.
And
This
that's
is an interesting one because I mean it's your normal boss and underling kind of situation. Although, yeah, I mean you should see some things that Chang says to Avalon is a jazz. I mean he does. He's just like smacks him up and she's like this is a very unique, passionate relationship between the two of them.
they
But
do.
to get back to that, you were talking about the father and son team at the ACMM events,
Yeah, yeah.
Mayhem and Baker. I always thought, going up against them, like, wow, I'm about to beat the crap out of a little kid in this game. But first, two things happen, and you think you're going to feel bad about it, but you don't. At first you're like, first team they were good. They were actually a decent team, and I think they won once.
Yeah.
I'll have to look at that again. But they were good. They weren't so great the first time, but when they came back the next time, they were great.
Yep.
But the other thing about it is, once you sit down and you're about to take on this team, you're about to have this match. The fact that it's a father-son team and one of them's a little kid, it's gone. It's not even in your brain the moment
No,
that starts. It
no.
just disappears.
And kind of missed that kind of connectivity, you had about the personal play. It was always interesting. There's a ton of, this goes to anybody you meet. Let's face it, there's a ton of prejudgments and calculations that people make upon almost any meeting. Like how people come off and everything. But AC LAN events was great. It was such a mixed bag because you could dig yourself an early grave if you came in with too many preconceptions. I know my first time meeting Baker, he was really eager to play. We sat down and did some free play before the main event, and I treated him like I would any other opponent. I just said, don't underestimate this guy. If he's come to a tournament, well, he obviously feels I either want to participate in this, I have the skills to, or I want to improve. Whatever his reasons, he's here at an AC tournament. Let's see what he can do. And yeah, it was great. You miss that element, with online. Um, Obviously, there's a different form of conduct because, well, you don't have contact. You don't have to drive anywhere. You're sitting in the comfort of your home or your basement or wherever else you play from. Uh, but that was a different dynamic. It's funny because it almost forced like a kind of socialization out of Armored Core players, which is funny. It almost pair. I'm not saying we're
It,
like an antisocial bunch, but this is a super niche crowd. I mean, AC is our game in that regard, and it was just really funny to see how all the different pairs of people interacted. I don't know.
I remember one of the things I was concerned about when they first walked in. When Mayhem and Baker walked in, I'm like, oh, holy crap, a kid! What the crap? And I went up to the father. I'm like, well, you understand, the average age here is in the late teens, and there will be foul language. I don't think I can stop that from happening.
And
Because I was not worried. Like this was not. I mean, he was a kid. He was like not even. I don't even think in the tweens. I think he was like 9 or 10.
Baker
Uh,
is very young. I'm glad you're putting that context there. I wouldn't give him more than 10 or 11.
yeah, I mean it's. So I'm like, wow. I mean, there were no chicks, and every time we would see a chick, it would be because there was somebody's girlfriend, which does happen occasionally in
Yep.
the army community.
Yep.
You will find you will find a player that has a girlfriend. So and that was weird too because they'd come in and like everything would get like quiet. Well, not everything, but a lot of them would get like quiet. Like, what
Oh,
is this? Does she play? She doesn't play. Girls don't play Armored Core. No, it wouldn't get quiet. But I mean, I went up to him. I'm like, I don't think I can stop this from being a kid, from not being a kid friendly environment. There's going to be some foul language. People are going to get excited. They're going to win. They're going to lose. They're going to swear. No drugs or alcohol there. I wouldn't let anything like that happen. But
right.
he was like, hey, I know the environment I'm bringing him into. We've had a discussion about it. Don't worry about it. He's a tough kid, and there was never any issues with it. But he was a little kid, and he was like he looked very meek too. That was the thing. Like
Yeah.
he's a little frail kid too. Obviously, he's spending a little bit too much time playing video games. He was just like bone. He was just a skinny little thing. But he was tough. He was a good player.
He was. He was. And we always joked about him as the new type in the community. I think Harlequin nicknamed him that, and a lot of the others. And always wanted to see where he went with AC. Again, who knows now? It's a group. It's just some people we've lost contact with. I'm not sure if they even, picked up AC5 or if they saw any of Next Gen, for that matter. We kind of broke up around Ninebreaker, to be honest. I never really saw them following the last Raven, even. But that's always neat. I kind of wonder what he's doing. If he kept.
Well, don't get me wrong either, because I mean, I remember you were telling me that they played dirty too.
Well, in the team tournaments, well, it means they do whatever it took, to win. Took it, but Baker. It was funny. Baker was the one that tended to attract some of the malice about stuff. I know he did this during blading, with the hit and run tactics. He did this during mains with using the Wyron build. Back in Nexus up in specific arenas. Knowing the points to really annoy people really badly and just play the politics. He was devious. He did that, and it's funny. Some people would really rail and complain about that. It's part of the game. Utilize the tactics as best you can. Win. And so you say win's a win, whether by an inch or a mile. But Baker did tend to attract the aggression. I never saw a whole lot of it being pulled in mayhem. He was kind of the old honorable. You know.
Thinking about, I'm thinking about this a little bit. Actually, I do remember some of that now during. I believe that was one of the Gauntlet events where he was running away quite a lot during the blading event. Um, what are you gonna do? You gonna talk trash to that kid? He starts swearing at him. His dad's right there.
And
I do
these.
remember there was some complaining about that in the forums. I think afterwards.
Yes, there was. There was plenty of it, and it's so funny. Yeah, that again, that whole dynamic that you have going, and something that we're missing. Without land play, we have little shots of this that happen now. I think the most land that I've seen out of, or close to it, out of AC5 or some of the Ravens meeting or like the Ravens Summit. I could be getting that wrong, but they talk about these in the depth. Those of you that kept up with the depth series leading up to Verdict Day, and even some of the current stuff, from talk about everything they're doing, not just with their current project, but also the events they hold for AC. They have these Ravens meets, in Japan. A lot of these, I think, began over the portable series of games. At least you saw them get more popularity, and now they're tending to do meets like for pre-releases or like as a new Armored Core comes out. Like they had a bunch of stations set up where people could come in and play five, and Verdict Day, and it's a community thing, because obviously from has the stronger roots right there, at their home base, and you know, we're not part of the a lot of the JP forums, so it's not we can sit here and report everything that happened. But yeah, just the fact that that kind of community element still exists, I think it's kind of neat. If you want to go check it out, I think it's probably in the depth. I think like 5 or something like that, or whichever was the most recent one. I don't have that right now, but if you want to go digging, I'm sure it's there. So
Why would I want to watch a lot of Japanese Armored Core fans talk about Armored Core when I can't understand what they're saying?
because a lot of these are subtitled. I mean, the ones you can catch.
Let's shut up. That was
You
saying.
you walked into it.
At
You
the
walked
same time,
into it.
it just makes me very jealous and envious because I mean Japan's so small and they can do that. We can't do that. And at this, if we got together for a LAN event, we can't even play. It has to be online. Well, I guess technically we could, but I mean you can't connect to be a system to system
Hmm.
anymore.
Hmm. That's
And not to
that's the
mention
funny
the
part
fact
about
that
it.
split up between PS3 and Xbox. Well, kinda still.
The portable scene boggled me more. I found it really interesting though that you had enough players interested to come coordinate, well, fill an event. Just for AC portable. There's SL portable. There's a last Raven event. I believe there was an AC3 event. Players pull out for these things, and uh, the mobile market, in Japan is large. And, there's a lot of handhelds. The PSP took off really well, and it's just like wow, there's the soil for it right there, and there's players taking use of it, regardless of what form Armored Core's in. So,
You know what I want to talk about
hmm,
before we go? We've been going for a little while
yeah,
here.
we have
I want to talk about Armored Core 6.
the pipe dream. Well, let's face it, it's not a super pipe dream. We're probably gonna
No,
see it.
it's not a pipe dream. I
It's
can
not.
tell you right
Let's
now
face it.
that there are plans for an Armored Core 6. This is something in SAP meetings for ACL that we talked about. No, this is going to happen. Um, but yeah, what do you think? Do you think that it'll still? Do you think it'll be on both consoles again? Do you think we'll see another split?
That's a real iffy. I'm very interested to see what our launches are going to do. We're right here in the eve of next gen system. I mean, for goodness sake, we're just a little over a couple weeks out for PS4, and Xbox is going to be right on its tail. Um, I know developers pay very close attention to these releases. How things go, and most importantly, how easy are these consoles, or how hard are they to develop on? I think that'll have a lot to do with it too. There's been, as far as I know, some solid feedback about developing on PS4 because it's built closer to a PC, and like it really well revved up, PC specs. In the past, some of you remember keeping up with PS3's launch. There were some devs that complained about PS3 development, and I think here you're going to have a closer match for consoles, and some of the hardware will be less of the issue. I think From's going to pay attention to that. I don't know how hands-on they've been with some of the early releases of the hardware, how much they've looked at it, but I want to say some signs point towards one system. I don't. The reality is, it may very well not happen. A lot of devs, want to be as committed but as open and like global with things as possible. To market on as many platforms as you can reach. And you very well may see that again. However, if the community says differently, or if there's just enough of a base on one spot, who knows? Um, I don't feel I'm really good at reading From's mind on these things. We don't get too many studio profiles. I posted that link a while back to the profile of from studio. They were talking about AC5 and Dark Souls and whatnot. Um, I'm hoping it's a PlayStation 4 exclusive. I jump for joy. Even if we don't get the type of land play we talked about, okay, I jump for joy. Um, I think it'd be a lot of fun community wise.
The
So
the only I think the strongest evidence leading to one console is that Xbox didn't get a collector's edition
that's compelling.
for Verdict Day. I think that's fairly telling. At the same time, what it comes down to is um, the Xbox for Verdict Day sold a lot less
Yeah,
than PS3. But the question comes down to did they make enough money off of it? Was
exactly.
it worth it for them to do it? I mean, and ultimately, that's what it's all about for
Yep.
them, which it should be.
Hmm.
So, I mean, you hope that part of that whole plan to making money is that we make a great, compelling game. But I think it would be smart to go one console. I think it'd be smart to go back home, go back to the PlayStation. Uh, for a lot of the reasons you brought up, obviously the biggest one is the community.
Yep.
If it's on one console, we're not split.
Yep.
I think that anchored a lot of people, regardless of the region that you're in,
Yep.
splitting the community like that. Um, I don't blame them for doing it for AC4. I think you have to test those
You
waters. They
do.
were trying to branch out. They were trying to do something, trying to be bold and reach a wider audience. And I think they were gonna. I think they planned to strike like they did with Armored Core 2. I don't know if we talked about this last week or not, or in the last couple of weeks, but we were looking at the sales here in the last month. We were looking at the sales for Armored Core games in general. And one of the things that was shocking, not which game it was, but what was shocking was that Armored Core 2 has been the best selling Armored Core game in the US.
Hmm.
But now this was a launch title for the PlayStation 2.
Yep.
But at the same time, Armored Core 2 sold better in the US than Japan. And that was shocking. That I know we were all floored by that.
Yep.
But I mean, I think they thought it was going to happen again. We're going to a new console.
Yep.
And so, we're going to branch out because the Xbox obviously is so big in the US, or much bigger in the US than it is in Japan. So I think they
Hmm.
thought that was going to happen again. It obviously didn't work out that way because as the last four games have gone through here through through the current gen, which is almost going to be the previous gen here
Hmm.
in the next couple of weeks. Um, the Xbox sales have declined steadily. So I don't think we'll see it again. I think that was a larger experiment and something that they wanted to try through this gen. I don't think we'll see it. I think Xbox 360 is it for Armored Core. I could be wrong. What the fuck do I know?
Yeah,
So
it's something that will be very interesting to follow. When AC2 was released, it seemed to have just good soil. It had some firm roots of planning. It made its brief showing at E3. I believe that your people got to see a little bit of gameplay. You're coming off of MOA, so you already had a bit of an established crowd, and the AC trilogy you had on PS1. It was building on some strong roots, and it just took off. Especially seeing that as a launch game. Yeah, futuristic mech title. And it's funny, you had some of the same seeds for four. Again, a very futuristic cut. Taking the AC tech, further than we'd ever seen it before. Even the Kojima fields and everything else we had, but a completely different reception. And for so many reasons we've talked about, and the community's debated and talked about. And again, the console issue has definitely been a center point here. So it'll be something to keep peeled for. There is nothing I'm dying right now to play on PS4 coming out or on the new Xbox coming out. Um, obviously, we're obviously not going to have AC as a launch for one thing, but I am keeping peeled for that and Bloody Roar. That's another thing I want to see.
bloody wrong.
So,
It's bloody wrong. You're one character.
oh yeah, long all day, combo you to death. Shoot. So,
Right.
all right, all right. Well, hey,
Okay. No, hey, don't you dare wrap it up. I'm not done.
what? You got a plug?
No, I'm not done with this topic.
All right,
You're gonna
all
put this
right.
up in here and make this not sound so bad. When do you think we will see Armored Core 6? I mean, because this is the first time that well, obviously it started on PS1, but Armored Core is basically a launch title for the PS2 and the PS3, and the Xbox as well. They were basically
Hmm.
launch titles. So this is the first time in the next gen where Armored Core isn't coming out with the next gen system. Basically, when do you think we'll see it?
This one is just so difficult to even cast or foretell. Like you said, we've had so many patterns we've watched as for past consoles and past releases. You remember going all the way back to AC1, during '97, whatnot. Usually, AC is somewhere hovering, around the early sections of a console, but I can't even put a beat on that, to be honest. It's very difficult. From has even said it themselves that they were very surprised with the sheer success of the Dark Souls franchise and whatnot. And I'm not saying it's going to become their new flagship or anything. Obviously, Armored Core was their big name title. Um, if anything, now they kind of have a bit of a split with that. You've got a lot of people that love that part of the From Software, but then you have your AC fans as well. I have no idea. What I am hoping, and if a trend From has shown recently, is that they're willing to take more development time and more of a development cycle. AC5 had one of the longer, if not longest, development cycles for an Armored Core, and if they're going to repeat that, same trend. I would not be surprised at all if we saw this coming, mid next gen or somewhere like that. Like, I encourage it. Take your time with it. Take your time. If we get to see pieces of it coming, so be it. But I am more than willing to wait for a very solid AC release. So,
So do you think? And then my last question, the last big thing that I think, as far as going into the next gen and the next Armored Core game, do you think it'll be team based, or do you think we'll go back to a single minded game?
oh, that's what's going to be so interesting. This is the boldest and most experimental From have been with the series. I mean, just look at it. You had a very similar formula, one all the way through Last Raven, and it really got turned on its head for four. It changed again with five, with the whole the team play and whatnot. And all those elements you have. There's so much that's changed about it, and if they keep teams, it's really going to speak, I think, to how successful they feel that model has been. They could very well switch it, and we could become the Raven once again, or the lone mercenary, and fall back into all those roles that we have traditionally before. It's difficult. It's really difficult to tell. You know, I think we've seen a lot of the Western audience perception of team based. And those of you who played on JP side, I did for AC4, or at least beginning of that, and the beginning of AC5, and middle of AC5 as well. Um, I think you're going to have differing perspectives on this. But whether or not From completely axe it or toss it, that's widely, I think, going to play on how this series of Armored Core has been received and how they felt five has gone over, because they take this stuff into account closely. They've posted more surveys, like questionnaires, about the direction of the series and asked for more fan input and more pointers than I've ever seen them ask for this series, period. So the fans are going to have a huge bearing on this, and if we get a shot to weigh in on that too, I mean, hey, that's even more of a pull. So I think we're going to have a say on this one.
One last question, and guys, obviously, I want all any opinions you have on any of these topics that we're talking about,
Yeah.
especially this. Please feel free to post on the forums. But the last question: if they're to bring one of them back, which one would you rather see, White Glint or Nine Ball?
Must we even go there? I
Yes,
mean,
yes, we. I want to hear it.
Nine Ball in a heartbeat.
Hell
I
yeah!
would love to see Nine Ball. The only recent reappearance that I can date was Another Century. It was another mech title. It was like a big mash of a lot of different mech genres. You had Gundams and a lot. I didn't play this one, but most of you have seen this clip. And Nine Ball Seraph drops in and near, it looks like the wreckage of a space colony. I can't describe it, but he drops in full gear, full boost, with the freaking stealth cloak of all things too. And at first, it gives you a semi nightmare thinking about him with cloaking tech as well as everything else. Super stealth, right? But yeah, Nine Ball appears as a boss with that, and had his theme, a remix of it, I believe done by Frequency, was amazing. And just thinking about his possible reappearance for a new AC would rock. It's just that boss, when that piano theme dropped, you knew everything was about to go down. And I don't think there's any other boss in AC history that has just commanded our attention like that. I'd love to see him again.
You told me the one time about the interview that From Software did. Somebody from Software saying that they wanted to make White Glint the new Nine Ball, the new mascot, the new
Yeah,
figurehead.
yeah. There was this was an article. I think this popped up in Macadamachie at one point about they were interviewing Mr. Zine or Nataushi. I forget who they were interviewing, but he's basically saying designing White Glen, that whole process is like coming up with Mickey Mouse. Or, it's the idea of this iconic character or this iconic mech that you instantly see and say, that's Armored Core. You can identify with. And
I hope they fired that
well, maybe not for the best. I'm pretty sure, I'm so bad with names right now, I'm losing my mind, but I'm pretty sure this is like the producer slash director for AC. So I kind of hope they don't fire him yet. But it's funny, just kind of hearing that kind of banter about it, or why there's a need to invent a new mascot. As far as I'm concerned, AC doesn't need another one. Nine Ball is it. I'm
man.
always gonna have him, imagine him as that spot. So,
The build, the colors,
yep,
just the way it is. I mean, he was an iconic figure, not just for Armored Core, but for I'll say it. Even you rarely ever hear me say this word mecha and stuff like that. I mean, he's an iconic figure. I mean, they put him in other games.
yep,
He's part of gaming history. If you put up a big giant cardboard poster of Nine Ball, I think everyone would be surprised at how many people will actually know who that is. And if they don't know who that is, they know where he came from. That's actually part of the reason why I have such disdain for White Glint is the fact that they tried to replace something that wasn't broke, something that didn't need to be replaced, with this other thing. And it's just like,
yeah,
why would you want to do that? Your money is right here. I mean, the character's awesome. He speaks so much about what the game's
yep.
about, too. And it's just like, why would you want to change that?
On a closing note for that too, one thing about Nine Ball is I think here's the iconic difference we're going to see, and this is going to be difficult I think for White Glint to replicate. Nine Ball's footprint is all over the Armored Core series, even now. Every time you unlock that special emblem and you see that nine, you know exactly what it means. You got the references. Goodness sake, the in-boss soundtrack to Verdict Day, that Black let me run into. It's called, Mechanized Memories, and then you had Mission 9, '09 for AC5. You had the flight pattern and whatnot. We talked about this in the trivia. His footprint is everywhere. Somehow, in some way, Nine Ball is referenced throughout the Armored Core series, no matter how abstract it is. And I find it really difficult to imagine White Glint replicating that. You think of the emblem, first of all, and I mean, we understand it because we've gone through the games and whatnot. We know it, but I don't think it'll have that same snap, that same recognition and pop that Nine Balls does. And I'm not sure what kind of footprint Glint can take in the future over Nine Ball, if any.
Well, and a lot of it just comes down to marketing to the right audience too. And obviously, the biggest market for video games, although I think this might be shifting a little bit as this kind of shifts in general, being a part of the generation that grew up with the first video games, with
Yep.
the Atari and such. I think still at this point, the biggest market is teenage males for video games.
Hmm.
But I do believe close in gaining on that is your adult males.
Yeah.
And those are the ones that had the games in the past. And those are the ones that are going to buy the games in the future. And you're going to confuse them with some weird looking white transformer armored core thing. And it's like, but again, you show them Nine Ball, they know Nine Ball. Armored Core 1 and 2 were huge in the U.S.
Yeah.
And that's what needs to not be forgotten on this. And so when it comes to marketing that, so for them to openly say, yeah, we wanted White Glint to replace Nine Ball, I want to go to Japan and slap them in the face.
It's funny. The way I read that from the discussion that happened was this idea of inventing a mascot for the series. It's interesting. I feel that from never really want to truly replace Nine Ball. They recognize that. That's why there's always a footprint of Nine Ball anywhere you go in the AC series. But the idea of inventing another mascot, or someone, another figure that you could synonymously identify Armored Core with, you know, eh, I I kind of feel that's extraneous. I think Nine Ball says everything we need to, but it's just an interesting line, and I think to get that close to like developer thoughts on how they approach these things and like how they approach branding, because it is part of the branding, and advertising the series. It's great when you have figures like that you can instantly connect. That's what that's from. But I don't know. I don't know what really sparked that need. Maybe the Glint was just such a popular design because uh, we've had are very, I believe, the same designer, mostly. I think there were a few ACs that he missed, but Shoji Kawamori, I believe he's done most of the mech designs for almost all the ACs. And I love his sketches. I love his preliminary work. And I think Glint was one of those that just took off. People loved the aesthetics and the design, and I don't know. I personally think the connecting, the whole icon figure thing kind of came second, just because it was a really hot design.
I don't know. I mean, I always thought Nine Ball. I mean, he just looks awesome, and especially the Nine Breaker version. He
Yeah,
looked especially cool
yeah,
there.
totally. What more do you need? That 9 and that GNL says it all. So,
And I worried about that. Oh god, they're gonna recreate Nine Ball. Holy crap! What this doesn't so. No, it was done really well.
yeah.
It was a great upgrade from what we had from AC1 up to up to Ninebreaker, and where the game itself is again. You didn't know it then. You knew you were playing a great era of Armored Core, but the golden era and to update them into that. No, it was great. It was
Yeah,
awesome.
it was. So, time will
All right.
tell.
Well, I'm sure we've angered all the modern day fans who don't like all the retro stuff with the last 10 minutes of talking about Nine Ball.
Oh, yeah.
So
Invariably. But hey, it is what it is.
ripping on White Glint thoughts.
Oh, man. I'll tell you what. I will admit this. I will totally say this. I dig that overboost like no tomorrow. I love that core. Love it.
Whatever.
Oh, man.
Freaking Transformer.
Or wannabe. One or the other.
Wannabe's right. Wannabe every step of the way. White Glint. Wannabe.
You got it. You got it, man. It's a cool design. Come on.
No.
All right. All right.
It's a cool wannabe. It's a cool wannabe design.
Oh, man.
White Glint is the freaking GoBot of Transformers.
Oh,
Or
boy.
Armored Core. Yeah, cut that one out, please. Mark that.
Uh,
He's the GoBot of Armored Core.
we're going there.
Never know. He's just and honestly, I think the fact that nobody really argues this anymore, I think that kind of says it too. Because I do remember that people used to argue about this, and there would be White Glove fans, and they would defend it. It is indefensible. And I haven't played a lot of 4 and 4 Answer, but I've played enough to know they try to drive them down your throat.
It's forced.
Am I wrong? Yeah, it's very forced.
It's forced. This is it. This is him. This is it. This is him. And fans know. No, Nine Ball is. But
All right, all right. So I think we've gone on about that. We've gone on for actually quite a while
yeah,
here.
we have. Let's wrap this one up. Enjoy the last vestiges of Halloween that are here. I got what, like 40 minutes roughly.
Well, what are you gonna do for 40 minutes? I mean, what are you gonna pig out on candy? What are you?
Get these knives. Go find a cosplay. Go get some candy. We'll call it a night. If
I'm
you,
gonna I'm gonna go have a cigarette and probably sleep for like 10 hours because finally Friday and I get to go into work late on Fridays. Thank
there you
God.
go.
Yeah, so it's gonna be a good night.
All right. Thank you all for joining. Thank you for listening. We will catch you next week. Same place, same
Yes,
time.
thank you for listening to our babbling. I am going to get the plug in armoredcorelegacy.com. Don't forget to go there if you haven't. But yeah, that throwaway show number 2. We'll see. A lot of people like the first one, so we'll see what they think of this one.
Kick off to the holiday season. Have a good rest of your Halloween. We're saying this in the past now. Look at me. Look at what I'm saying.
Yes, sir. Yeah,
Hope you had a good Halloween. Everybody
confused.
take care.
Yeah, we're from the past. When you listen, we're from the past. All the time. It's a little weird, a little time travel going on. And no, I'm joking. Okay, I'm not that stupid. Not all the time.
Take care, people.
I'm talking. Can you tell? Yes. Good night. I'm out here. Out of here. Good night.